Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage four prostate bone and lung cancer patient slash survivor. Been dealing with cancer since 2021. And I know everybody's looking and saying, hey, there's something different about this. I do have a new set of headphones and microphone that I'm using, which I was very fortunate enough to get, and I wanted to use it on this. So hopefully, it'll be a better experience for everyone. But I am so thrilled and excited for our guest today. And our guest's name is Jon Brent, and he has got a phenomenal story. And so I want to share Jon with everybody and to share his story because it's really a fantastic one. So at this time, I'd like to bring on none other than Mr. Jon Brent. Jon, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and what's going on.
Hi, nice to meet you, and thank you for inviting me on, Mark. And nice to see everybody. Again, my name is Jon, and I'm born and raised in Windsor, Ontario, where that Journey song was written about us. South Detroit is all of us right here. By trade, I'm a real estate property assessor, so kind of like an appraiser. I tell you how much your house is worth, but I can also do chicken farms and cattle farms and you know, little corner stores too. Uh, and but that's kind of where my story is now. My cancer journey started in 1995 when I was 3 years old. I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So I just was able to celebrate my 25-year cancer anniversary post bone marrow transplant last November. I got my bone marrow transplant on my dad's 40th birthday, November 13th, 1998. But that original cancer diagnosis was in 95, and there was a lot of chemotherapy and a lot of full body radiation, and there was a relapse. So there's a lot of things in between there, Mark.
I bet there is, absolutely. And to have cancer at that age has got to be just overwhelming because, as a child that young, you don't know what's really going on in the world and there's all this stuff happening. So how did that affect your childhood? In what ways? It had to be drastically affecting it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think my childhood was uncommon. Certainly, I developed an attitude that's very regimented, that's very by the numbers. I think I became obsessed with numbers, just looking at blood pressure cuffs and platelet counts and how many blood transfusions and what products I would need. I learned how to follow orders pretty good and learned how to be really, really articulate growing up in a hospital setting, just all the words and vocabulary that come around with that. But I was raised not to complain. So it made me very stoic, I think. Right? It made me very nose down. Um, it can always be worse. It wasn't good, and there were some really not good days or months or years, but I was always reminded my family that you're here, you're still able to fight, and there was gratitude built in from pretty much when I was a toddler. So it served me well in my older years.
That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. That your family had the wherewithal for you to instill your attitude, which has helped you carry through, I'm sure.
I'm blessed. My family, it's filled with gems. I've just got the one brother and mom and dad, but even the every aunt and uncle and cousin and all the support that I had, I can't begin to describe how much that made a difference. All the support. So the fact that you're building a pretty big support network is it screams positivity, and that's what a lot of people need. Not everyone is as lucky as I was with my family.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your journey as you were growing up and the things that you went through uh in your cancer journey and you know, we'll bring it more towards the present, but
Okay.
you've been through so much. Can you talk a little bit about that and we could keep moving on?
Certainly. Yeah. So yeah, I was diagnosed with ALL leukemia right around Christmas time in '95. And in 1995, I was part of some trial protocols of chemotherapy and radiation. There's about 10 of us. Uh, after 3 years of chemo protocols and regimens and all these experiments, I relapsed. So I would need a bone marrow transplant. My parents had the wherewithal to bring me to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Maryland, rather than where I was being treated in Canada, both in London and Toronto, and got a plan developed because they were leading at the time to have implemented in Canada. So I got a bone marrow transplant in '98, like I had mentioned earlier. And afterwards, there's just been a lot of long term effects. I'm I'm the towering height of 5'2". I'm kind of built like a fire hydrant, but my whole family is tall. The women are 6 feet tall, so like my family picture looks like a heartbeat. It was like that, right? Every cousin once they turn 12 or 13, they're all shooting up past me. My brother's oh my gosh, my brother's like 6'2", 380 maybe. He's a big boy, and I'm the little one. But cancer took my height, not my reach. Um, so I kind of grew up rough and tough after the bone marrow transplant. I had long term complications, graft versus host disease, my gut, liver, skin, lung, heart. I've had 13 lung collapses, a couple major lung surgeries. So my lungs don't really they don't hang in my chest cavity anymore. I can't break a rib. I can't play any contact sports, so no more rugby or wrestling for me. No hockey, which is tough for a
What,
Canadian.
let me pause you right there.
Yeah.
Why did you have so many issues with your lungs?
So because of the weakness in my lungs and because it was a bone marrow transplant, it kind of affects all your organs because bone marrow is kind of what produces the blood. And the weakness in my lungs, I'm not sure why through high school, but it just led to many lung collapses when I was playing these contact sports. There's a little hole, and as soon as one of the alveoli or the little air sacs in your lungs punctures or pops, the air slowly leaks out, and then it will slowly kind of collapse your lung from just the air pressure buildup. And I was kind of blessed and cursed with a very high pain tolerance, so I wouldn't know until the X-ray would show my trachea pointing that way or my heart moving over the side or until it was
Wow.
really not good. So I got a lot of battle scars to add to the list throughout high school and college from the previous list I had. But um, um, I just had to learn to get pretty good at checkers and Monopoly and play some more non-contact sports. I'm pretty good at trivia nights nowadays.
I'm not playing with you, that's for sure. Um, so when your lung, when you did have a lung collapse, did you feel anything or you didn't feel anything at all?
No, you really short of breath. There is a lot of pain. I was I'm a little stubborn, so I was wrestling at the time, and I was hoping to go to college on scholarship. So I was doing pretty good in Ontario, and I waited too long. I waited until some irreparable damage had been done because I wanted to win. I wanted to get a college scholarship. But I think I sealed the deal on my own long term contact sports career with that boneheaded decision as a teenager.
Wow, because I myself had a lung collapse and I was lucky it happened as a result of uh, a lung biopsy. And
Oh, okay.
I didn't feel anything. And so that's why I was just wondering what it actually felt like because for me, it was like it didn't bother me at all. In fact, I was like shocked at
And did
my lung.
it healed up on its own,
Well,
or did you need a chest tube?
no, I had one of those. That's another story for another
Okay.
time. But I did have a surgeon who inserted a new device, and at that time. and
Wow.
the device didn't work, and so it put me in the hospital for a week,
Yeah.
and so the surgeon came in and says, "Hey, if you want, we can go in and surgically repair it, or you could stay in the hospital and we could wait for it to heal on its own." And I said, "Doc, there's only one option as far as I'm concerned, because there's no way in the world that you are touching my lungs again."
Good
He looked
call.
at he looked at me and he goes, "Okay." And I said, "Hey, and if I have to make you sick for the next year, that's what I'm gonna do."
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I got because a lot of my health issues were prior to the age of 18. I didn't get the kind of respect that sometimes you deserve and that you need to self advocate for. They wouldn't, if I raised any thoughts or concerns, you're just some 14-year-old kid or 16-year-old kid, and don't tell me how to do my job, right? I'm an anesthesiologist, and I go, no, propofol's not going to work. I'm going to wake up in the middle of this thoracotomy, which I did. Uh, so there's certainly something to be said, and good for you, Mark, for advocating for yourself and saying, no, you're not touching me.
No, I mean that's just been my stance uh from the beginning, is just, hey, I want to do it my way. And because nobody's going to care more about our individual lives than ourselves. And
That's
so
true.
that's the most important thing. And I know, I want to talk about, since you started having cancer at such a young age,
Yeah.
how do you feel that you matured throughout this process? Because what I find is that the, particularly the childhood cancer patients, the maturity is off the charts. I mean, it blows me away how mature people are. What are your thoughts on that?
I can echo that. Yeah, I think that you grow up fast. I think that your childhood is really sped up because you get a different perspective and you get a different measuring stick as a childhood cancer survivor, and how lucky to be a survivor. But certainly, I've been described as an old soul probably since I was like 10. Every grade I went through, I was talking to the teachers, not the students. So I've never really fit in too much unless it had something to do with calculus or economics. It's pretty good at those.
Good for you. Good for you. What what would you say growing up, what your experience with all of this has been? How has that developed your mindset, and what is your mindset?
Well, I've been, I've seen the value of community my whole life, right? Because cancer does not care about your race, your religion, your height, your weight, where you were born, what you believe in, and it really it shows you a different part of the world, and how the world needs some more helpers. So I think that it's affected me to be one of the helpers, one of the net givers, not one of the net takers. I knew I would have to get a career with like group benefits or pension because I'm going to get denied from singular healthcare providers. I have what you call pre-existing conditions, but it also made me do a lot of volunteer work and make sure that whether I've been a camp counselor or a public speaker or on a board for fundraising committees or scholarship and bursary programs nationally, that if you don't spend the time and make the habit to add to your community, you'll just be a little too self focused. So I think it really affected me in that I never let things stress me out too much. I've seen big stress situations. They come up in my own life every year or two, and there's more to you to give than there is for yourself. Although it has the opposite of that is true. I don't know how to calm down. I don't know how to stop and smell the roses. There's no relax in me. There's too much ambition, not enough slowdown. I don't know too much.
So, what is your perspective today? What is Jon Brent's perspective today as far as life? What is your philosophy about life? Uh, how important is each and every day to you?
That's a great question. I wake up every day, know I'm playing a bonus round, right? I got it's not lost on me. There's some I guess what are they like colloquial sayings, right? Live every day like it's your last, or cherish every day, right? No, I really write in a gratitude journal. I really do a little bit of exercise every day. I really have to follow my diet so I don't create any kidney stones. But it's made me very aware of how many of your own problems you can fix or at least address, right? And how you need to be your own best friend. You gotta. I've taken that kind of stuff to heart. You know, um, there's only so many self help books you can read before you start to realize, oh, I think I got to take actions. I think it has to be less of a conversation and more of a daily commitment to myself and my friends and my family and my community that I'm going to take care of my own health. I'm going to learn some skills so I'm fun conversation at dinner parties. I'm not just going to let cancer consume me and beat me down into like a depressive state. Now, and I struggle with depression, but we all have those days. But it's really given me a lot of tools to be your well to motivate, to self motivate, and then hopefully to share some of my motivation with other communities too.
And you do that very well, John.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Uh, in fact, I'll mention right here is I had the opportunity to meet John through our Cancer Conquering Community, which is on Clubhouse every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and John has become an integral part and and just a bright light in our community, and that's and anybody, and I'll mention that at this point in time, anybody who would want to join, it's free, it's open to the public, it's on the Clubhouse app, and if you're interested, send me a DM on LinkedIn or through Clubhouse, or you could even put it on this video, make a comment in the video, of which please like, subscribe, and make a comment in the comment section of this YouTube or Rumble video. So, John, I mean, I could see, you know, you have a big smile on your face, and you know, you are a bright light in this community, absolutely, and we're so lucky to hear you and to have you. Uh, what has been okay? How do you feel
Mhm.
about cancer, as far as you personally? Uh, are you angry at cancer? Are you glad that you've had the experience, or how do you put that into perspective?
You know, I think I spent a lot of years being angry at it. Right? It took many years of therapy, cognitive behavioral training, pie charts and graphs to track my mood and my sleep and journals to get past the anger because it really steals your time from you, right? It steals your quality of life, right? It affects your mom, your dad, your friends, your siblings. Uh, it puts a lot of negativity in your life initially, but over time, uh, it really connects all of us. You can't talk to two, three people that don't have a niece or a nephew or a coworker or a band member or somebody that's been affected or will be affected or is currently affected. I mean, I just actually just before this interview, I got a text from one of my coworkers who was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. I took her to all of her appointments and such. She was just found to be NED earlier today.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
So amazing, amazing. But in that way, it has shown me how connected everyone in the world can be by this disease. And you know, if you don't put any positivity into this experience yourself, I don't think it's just going to fall in your lap. So it's a real mindset shift that you have to you got to put on your rose-colored glasses and kind of live your best day possible.
Oh, there's no doubt because uh, I always tell people that it's so important to make your cancer journey your own and to make the most out of it because uh, personally, I wouldn't wish cancer on anyone, but for me, it's just been such an eye-opening and a blessing to go through this because it's really put into focus what's really important in life. And what's important in life is our friend, God, our friends, our family, and the people that are close to us. And and to really, really appreciate them. And so many people, and I talk about on this channel, so many people are sleepwalking through life. And it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Our world needs as many people working to help make this place a better place to live.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know if you've noticed this too, but I have found it's kind of a very useful filter, a very useful social filter. You know, some people will come at you with their big issues about their cat's belly rubs or their dog. You know what I mean? They come to you with smaller issues, and you've got to be receptive and go, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry about your cat and its belly," right? But I gotten a real good perspective and measuring stick early on, and now I can see those things coming. Those all the coworkers that don't quite get it, all the people at a rec league sport or trivia night that don't get it. They come at me with big energy. I can just let it deflect. It kind of just rolls right off. It's in some ways it's been a very good filter.
I I really get a kick out of what you just said because uh I'm very active as many as you know on LinkedIn and
Yeah,
I have people write to me on a direct message. Oh, I ask people how they're doing and oh, things are just, terrible, blah 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 and then they say, "Oh, well, how are things with you?" And then I send out information about you know, my cancer journey and videos and things like that. And
yes.
everyone they come back and they're I'm just so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. Yeah. And so I got a kick out of what you just said
Do
because
you respond gracefully? Do you go, "Oh,
oh
no problem," or you go,
oh
"Yeah, you should be a little embarrassed. That was weird.
no, I
You
never
have
say
you
that.
have a peanut butter problem."
No, it just kind of really puts things into perspective when uh they see how what you've gone through and it also helps them in a way to really appreciate their situation. Is it really that bad? Is it what you know happened at work today? Is it really that bad? We in our minds are like a computer and we're our own personal programmer of our personal computers. Our mind is so powerful. And,
Yeah.
what we feed it on a daily basis is important. And one of the things that I do on LinkedIn is I send out positive quotes every day, several times a day. And
Okay.
I have people coming back and saying, wow, I really appreciate your quotes. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great, and it gives you a nice little kick, which is really, really good. But so, John, what you've been through so much and you've learned so much through your journey with all the things that you've gone through and
Yeah.
everything like that. What advice would you give to a newly diagnosed cancer patient?
Well, firstly, I'm just a little nerd from Windsor, Ontario. That's real good at like house valuation. So take this with a grain of salt a little bit. But I do have, a couple of decades experience. And I would say number one advice is that you're not alone. So seek help. So ask for what help's available, right? Maybe it's an occupational therapist so that you don't have to be off work for too long. Maybe it's a nutritionist or a dietitian. Maybe it's just support for your mental health, whatever it is. If you don't ask, it doesn't really find you. So I think the number one advice would be just to understand that you're not alone and that there are many organizations. Whether you were a child like me, there's camps available to you, right? So that you don't miss out on these types of childhood experiences and social development. Or in the adult world, there's so many communities like the one you've been growing, and so many partners that the support is there, and you just really need to be your best advocate and asking for it. And to, you know what, sometimes you have to be rude. Sometimes you have to call 4 times in a row and leave 3 sweet messages and one sternly worded message, and then you got to call again tomorrow to follow up. Right? You really have to if you have a doctor that said a couple weeks ago, I had a second opinion at an ophthalmologist, and he goes, "You're going blind. There's nothing you can do about it. Right? There's nothing you do that makes it better. Nothing you do that makes it worse. It's a rare genetic condition. Right? You're one in a million." Of course I am. Par for the course, Doctor Lay. But there isn't nothing I could do. I have 45 minutes. I found, UC Irvine. There's a genetic therapy in Australia. There's a this. There's clinical trials available. So to not the add on to the first piece of advice would be just to not get too discouraged for too long. Notice when you get, we all get kicked in the stomach with this disease for sure in some way or another, but have your time for your grief, process that, read a book, dance to a song, whatever it is that you need to cope and move forward. But don't get discouraged for too long, because you can wear that hat, and that can start to become your mood and your personality. It doesn't need to be. There's always something that you can do. You're stronger than you think.
This channel is called To Be Your Own Hero. And John, you are definitely your own hero. And I applaud you. I mean, you are a long time survivor, and your journey has been rough, but look at the smile on your face. It's just absolutely
Thank you.
phenomenal. I just love it. So, couple final questions.
Okay.
Uh, what would you like to share as a final thought with our audience?
Hmm. You ever heard the song "Man in the Mirror" by Michael Jackson?
Yeah, I love it. I love that's absolutely love it.
If you want to make the world a better place, take a look in the mirror and make a change.
Beautiful. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. So my second question, you kind of stole my thunder on my second question. My my second question is, how would John Brent help to make the world a better place? So you could follow up with what you just said with something further.
Well, the ways that I can do it are different than the ways most can do it. I really am a dorky nerd. I really am good at the math thing. So I initially tried to make a change by being in the public service industry and being a public servant, and that took me probably the last 6 or 7 years to build that career. And it's not panning out exactly the way that I thought it might. So uh, I feel like the way that's available to you, whether you can be a public servant, whether you can be better in your community and your friends and your family. Just take care of your 3 square feet of the world. Maybe you're a tremendous artist. Maybe you're a tremendous musician. Maybe you work with your hands exceptionally well. Whatever you can do that comes naturally to you, I think lean into that. Lean into that and build and share it. And without trying that hard, I think you're going to brighten a lot of people's days.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. John, it's been an honor and a pleasure uh, to have this interview with you. I think you're uh, an incredible human being, and And I'm so happy that you're part of our cancer conquering community, and I look forward to getting to know you through the months and years. You're an incredible person, and thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Mark. Likewise,
Abs
it's been beautiful to be part of it, and thank you for having me here today.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And, you know, John is a perfect example of what it means to live each day and make the most out of each day because each and every day is a blessing. It's so important to don't waste your life. We only go around once and make the most out of it. And it starts in small increments. Start with each day. And if you put together each day, pretty soon you have a week. Pretty soon you have a month. Pretty soon you have a year. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. Make the most of it and enjoy life and help other people as much as you can so that we can help make this world a better place, which it needs desperately. Thank you so much. We will see you next week on To Be Your Own Hero. Thank you, and we'll see you. Bye bye.